Today, we're completing the build of an AI voice assistant that we started in my previous video that eliminates missed calls for dental practices and boosts employees' productivity by up to 40%. My name is Lenny, and by the end of this video, you'll be able to build a Cal.com appointment booking automation in Make for any voice assistant. So let's pick off where we left off, which is triggering this voice assistant that we created in Vapi in Make here. All right, so when it comes to the current time and date, we inputted that dynamic variable, so that pulls through to the voice assistant prompt. And then when it comes to creating that prompt, go ahead and go through that initial video that we created to really see how we set up the dynamic data and the variables that we will be pulling to this dental office voice assistant. And again, just to review the use case. So we created the voice assistant in Vapi, but we're using Make to trigger this thing. And when it triggers in Make, we wanted to pull any patient information, if available, from the CRM, which is AirTable. On call, it will be able to book appointments with patients who are looking to book appointments through Cal.com. And then after call, it updates the call dashboard, which again will be married in Airtable with any call information for review later on. So we have to do a couple things. And there's going to be a couple aspects about this specific sequence that we're creating. It has to be able to do those three things: pull dynamic data from the CRM for current patients, update a call dashboard at the end of call, and also during any call, book appointments. So those are the three different paths that we're going to create for this one Make scenario. So the first thing we need to do is set up our tables in Airtable for the CRM along with the call dashboard. So now that we're in Airtable, I actually pre-created these tables, but I'll quickly go through them. So for the patient CRM, the fields that are important to us are the phone number. That's how we're going to actually match up if they are a current patient or not a patient at all. The first name, last name, email address, and insurance provider of the patient. So this is what will be pulled into the prompt as far as each patient information. For the end of call update into the call dashboard, the fields we care about are the date and time of the call, the from number, the call summary, the transcript, along with the call recording, and that'll be our URL. If you're looking to implement an AI voice assistant into your business, like the one we're creating in this video or something similar, go ahead and schedule a discovery call with us by clicking the Calendly link in the description. So now that those tables have been created, the first thing we need to do is set up a router, because there's going to be multiple paths for this one webhook. So we'll set this router up, and the first path that we'll create will be to pull in any dynamic data from that Airtable CRM. So when we initial call here, we will need to format the phone number that is called from. So what we'll do is create an OpenAI step, create a completion here. And this is to format the number that's the patient is calling from, because it comes in a different format than what will be seen in Airtable, and we'll see that. And then from there, it'll be able to match up correctly. But if we don't do this step, then it'll just always come back as patient, not a part of the CRM, just based off format. So when it comes to the model, we're going to pick 4.0. Message for role, we're going to put system. And for the message here, we're going to throw in this prompt. So context is going to be the number they're calling from, the patient's calling from. And we have an example of what we want this prompt to do, which is if this is the input, this is the output. So this is the format we want. And then we have a prompt here just explaining exactly what we want it to do. And the output should be the phone number, and I'll correct that. Phone number provided in context in national format as seen in example. Tokens, we want 250. We will press OK to save this. And then we are good as far as formatting of the number. So next, what we'll need to do is connect that Airtable we just created, or that table we created in Airtable, and extract any information if they are a current patient. So after you connect your Airtable profile, you'll be able to see all of your Airtables, or your tables that you create in Airtable, tongue twister here. And we're going to select the dental practice vid one we created and patient CRM, because we're going to be triggering the voice assistant and we want to pull any patient information. So view, we'll just leave that blank. And this is the information we want to extract from that table. We'll select all, because we want all of this to be inputted into the voice assistant prompt. And for the formula, we're going to throw this formula in here. So what this formula does, it extracts the patient phone number they're calling from and tries to match it with the number in the patient CRM. And if so, it extracts these variables to be inserted into the prompt for the voice assistant to use in conversation. So all of these will be provided in our resource hub in our Skool community. So make sure to check that out. We do a bunch of really cool things in the community, weekly Q&As. You can actually get one-on-one time with me or Terrell, as well as we do builds. Every Friday, we build a voice assistant that you guys want us to build. So make sure to check that out, and I'll see you there. And after we fill in this formula, we are good to go. It's going to say error because we're going to have to trigger this voice assistant to get the variables we need to fill in that formula appropriately as far as the number that they're going to be calling from. But let's save this. All the non-existent models, save anyway. Perfect, saved. And now what we want to do is create that alternate path for the end of call report. So we'll create another path here, and we're just going to link directly to AirTable for this. And this is going to create a record. We're going to select the dental practice vid. The table we're going to select called dashboard. Date and time. We're going to select the provided date and time here, started at there. From number. We'll fill that in later after we trigger this initial call to get the data we need. Call summary. Under analysis, select summary. Transcript. Mark that up. Call recording, set URL, recording URL. So that's linked up. And the only thing that we need is that phone number. So we'll save that. And that's also what we need for the formula here. So at the end of the call, it will go down this route. And for that, we'll set up this filter here. And this will be the first of all the filters. And that will be based off of the type of message sent, and it just needs to start with end. So we'll only go down this path if it starts with end as far as the message being sent to this webhook. For this one, we'll leave blank because we need to see what that specific message starts with when triggering the voice assistant. But let's go ahead and trigger this voice assistant now. And actually, let's just delete the formula field for now. Don't want any issues triggering the voice assistant. So we'll save this. Trigger this thing. No, we want wait for new data. Let's give this thing a call.
Hello, thanks for calling Shiny Teeth Dental. How can I help you today?
That's all we needed. So now let's come back to this step to extract the information. Now we need to input that formula back and include that field for that specific number that they're calling from. So we'll paste that back in there, and we'll delete this. Well, actually, first, just confirm this is correct. All right, so this is correct as far as customer number. We'll format that correctly. And then from here, let's plug in the results. Perfect, from that previous ChatGPT step. Press OK. So now this formula is perfect. If these results are true, meaning they match in the table as far as the number that's being called and formatted from the patient, then this information will be extracted. We can update the voice assistant prompt with the dynamic data accordingly. For the end of call report, we want to do the same thing here. So date, time is good to go. And the reason why these are blank right now is because what we just are loaded as the message was to trigger the voice assistant. So these fields weren't in that message that was sent because it was initially triggered. So all we need is that from number here. And actually, we'll have to fill that in with the end of call report, so we can't even use that here. So we'll skip that, and we'll have to trigger again to get the end of call report to input this from number, because that will be provided in that message. And then from here, we will go ahead and fill in the dynamic variables for this prompt. So first name, for pulled correctly, it will be the first name. Last name, match up last name field if provided. Phone number, same thing. Email address, and finally, insurance. Perfect. So now when I trigger this voice assistant, it should know exactly who I am with all the information that we filled in the table, identify me in that first message, and have all the information and just not need to collect that as if I was a new patient. So let's go ahead and trigger this voice assistant one more time, because now what we're going to be looking for is that end of call report to finish this path. One thing that I do need to do before triggering the voice assistant is adjust the table in AirTable. So when it comes to this formula, you see phone number here. That needs to match an AirTable, and I realize it doesn't currently. So let's match that. Now we should be good to go. And let's go ahead and trigger this voice assistant. Nope, but first, let's include this router. Set up filter. It starts with assistant. It's like assistant trigger. So we'll do this filter. We'll do type. We'll do. So starts with. There we go. And let's trigger this. It should know exactly who I am.
Hello, Lenny. Thanks for calling Shiny Teeth Dental. How can I help you today?
So you know who I am. Perfect. So guys, now what we need to do is press run one more time, because we want the end of call report to be able to complete the call dashboard update flow here. So ended the call. And now it should go down this path if we did it correctly. Perfect, and we did. So it updated this call dashboard as appropriate, and we'll check this here. But from the from number, we need to fill this in. So we need to come down to call customer number. Got that plugged in. Press OK. Now let's quickly just check if it updated the call dashboard appropriately for that last call we just made. Perfect. There we go. So it's December 19th. That's perfect right now. I apologize, but I didn't have enough context. All right, this is a call transcript. But this is perfect. From number, obviously we weren't able to fill this in. Let's just delete these. But it works appropriately. So now that we have these two paths set up, let's work on the final path, which is going to be the Cal.com appointment booking path, because this voice assistant will need to book appointments on call. And this is going to be the last path we create. So let's add this here. Let's move these around a little bit. Let's put this one at the end. This one at the middle. So the first step that we create here is going to be OpenAI, because from the preferred date and time for their appointment, we're going to extract a start and end date. That's just going to be the beginning of the day and the end of the day to search Cal.com's availabilities for that specific calendar. So we're going to go OpenAI. We're going to create a completion. For model, we're going to go 4.0 mini. Add messages. It's going to be system. And then we're going to use this prompt to get what we want. It's going to start with the date and time preferred for the appointment, and that's going to be extracted on the call in Vapi when triggering this specific book appointment function. So that initial day they requested, it will be provided in context. And for the example of what we want this step to do, it'll be the date they requested here. And the output should be the start of the day and the end of the day. Now, how we want to think about this is the start of availabilities. So for this calendar, it looks like the start time is 9 o'clock and the end time 5 o'clock. So we want the start and the end of the day. And this is how we're going to be able to extract the availabilities from Cal.com. In the instructions, we pretty much just say, hey, in the context, we're going to give you a preferred date for an appointment. And I need you to create an output or provide an output that is the start and end of that day, starting at 9 o'clock and ending at 5 o'clock. So that's what we're going to need to extract. So max tokens, we want to put 250 here. Open up the show advanced settings here. This is all default, but we do want the response format to be JSON. For this next step, we need to parse that output. So we will parse the JSON, and it needs to be the results there. That'll be that. And then following this, we need to make an HTTP request to Cal.com to extract the available slots for this specific calendar in question, which is the dentist calendar. So we'll do HTTP, make a request. The URL that we'll use is to check the slots. So this is all extracted from cal.com's API, but this is the URL. It's going to be a GET request for headers, content type, value, location, JSON. And then for the query string, we're going to have to add a couple parameters here. So for this first one, it's going to be the API key. And you'll get this after you make your cal.com profile. You can go to the settings and create your API key. And I'm going to paste mine here. Then we'll continue to the other parameters we need to get the available slots for this specific day. This includes event type ID, start time, as well as end time. And that's what we extracted in the previous steps. And that is it. So when it comes to your event ID, you can find that by navigating to cal.com. Once you're in cal.com and you have your events set up here, you're going to want to go in and edit one of your calendars. And in the URL here, you'll see a 6-digit number after types and /. And that 6-digit number is your event ID. So we're going to copy that, throw this into that value. For the, wrong way there. Should be up there. For the start time, this is going to be the value that we parse here. So we'll leave that blank for now. So let's go ahead and save at this point. And I'm going to give this voice assistant a call so that we can fill in and extract the JSON information from the OpenAI step so that we can finish this specific step to cal.com so we can get the slots available for this day. All right, so I just called and triggered the book appointment function, and this is what occurred because we don't have the data filled in. So we need to fill in the start time and end time. And now this step should work properly. Save the sequence and we're good to go here. So after we extract the slots available for the date that's requested, we need to create an OpenAI step to format the response, which is those availabilities for that specific day on that calendar. Reason being is because when it comes to matching the preferred date provided by the customer to availabilities, the formats are different, and we want to make sure that that has a high percentage of working properly. So we use 40 mini, add message, role system, and for the prompt, we will use this prompt. So in this prompt, we're using the data that we just collected on the previous step and using that in context here, because what's going to occur in this step is based on the data provided, it's going to format, and this is exactly what the data would be provided, this specific format, and format it like this. So it's just formatting it in ISO based off of our specific time, which is American Los Angeles or PST. So before, as you see here, it's kind of just based on UTC, but we want it in PST or Los Angeles time, West Coast time. So that's what we're doing in this step. And these instructions are just telling it exactly to do that. They're going to be inputted specific slots availabilities, and I need you to change that into ISO format based off of the American Los Angeles time. I'm going to continue down, tokens 250. So this step is good to go. And then continuing on, now we need to create another OpenAI step to try and match the requested time from the patient with an available time that was received from the previous OpenAI step and formatted. So we'll use 40 mini, include the message, it'll be system, and this is the prompt that we will use. For context, we have appointment available slots, the results. So we're going to use the results from the previous step. And that is the results from 21. Perfect. And then the requested appointment time and date will be seen here. Let me just format that correctly. And you see an example here. The input is going to be the available time slots formatted correctly, as well as the requested appointment date and time. And the output will be available if this appointment preferred date and time matches one of the slots here in context. All right. And again, this is being formatted from the previous OpenAI step, but we're receiving these appointment slots from the make request HTTP step that sends that get request to cal.com to get those availability slots. So in the instructions here, we're just saying you're going to be given available slots and a preferred appointment date. If the appointment date matches one of the available slots, then respond with available. If not, then respond with 3 available slots that were provided in those available slots section. And if it doesn't match anything and there's no available slots provided in context, then it should just say not available. And that just means the patient needs to select another preferred date because no available slots are available for that specific day. And we will continue on and work all of these different situations out. So continue down, max tokens 250. Press OK. And continue on to the next step. So this is where it gets a little complex. So there's 3 situations that we have to count for. 1, that the appointment slot is available. 2, that the appointment slot is not available and there are other availabilities that day. And 3, the appointment slot is not available and there's no availabilities that day. So based off of the response and the result from this specific step here, we need to create a router or add a router and account for 3 separate situations. The first situation will be if it's booked. We'll add 1, and it'll be an HTTP request. And this is going to be to book the appointment in cal.com. The URL link we're going to use is as follows. In this exact make template will be provided in our free Skool community. So make sure to check that out because you will be able to get this entire template, including the booking appointment function or automation, I should say, including the end of call automation, including the triggering step, all provided in the Skool community in our resource hub. So make sure to check it out and join the community to get this exact template. So this is the URL we will need. It will be a post request. And for headers, we're going to do content type, location, JSON. And for the query string, it's going to be API key. And we will need to add the API key here. And we will need to add a body for this specific post request as well. So the request content will be this. And this is, again, in the cal.com documentation. But you can find all of this in our resource hub. So you're going to need the event type. And that, again, is what we had in our previous request or get request. Start will be the start time of the appointment, and that'll be the requested and preferred time that the client provides on the call. Then we'll fill in their name for this appointment. We'll fill in their email, and then guests, we'll leave that blank. As we continue down, time zone will be American Los Angeles for me. Language will be English. Title will be Call with Lenny. And we get that straight from the calendar appointment in cal.com. So Call with Lenny. So we use that specific title there for the automation field as well. Description, we'll leave that blank. Status, pending, and then SMS reminder number, we'll just fill that in with null. And along with the name, the other thing that we have is dash here and the appointment reason. When it comes to this, you should be able to input as a description, but it just doesn't go through on cal.com. So it won't have a description of why the person booked the appointment. So we're just going to add that in that name field. So when it is booked, you'll be able to see the person's name as well as the reason why they're booking that appointment. So that'll be provided there in short. So after we have the request content set up appropriately, we will go ahead and press OK. And for the final step, if the appointment is booked, this will confirm and be good to go. And then we just need to respond to the voice assistant. So we'll create a response webhook here. And for the response, what we'll put is booked. And it'll be in this format. And this is in the Vapi documentation. And you can find that by just searching out how to respond to a function call. And this, again, will be provided in the resource hub. So everything you guys need to create this automation in Make will be provided in the resource hub. But if you just want to use the template, that'll also be accessible there. So results will be the tool call ID for the specific call, and that's how it will match up which response is for which call, as well as the result, which in this situation, for this, it will be booked. And then the voice assistant will know that the appointment's been booked and respond accordingly in that conversation with that patient. The other two situations that could occur will just be from this one route. And when it comes to the filter of when it will go down this path, it's going to be based off of this step, available, and we want the results of step 22 to say available. Perfect there. And for these steps, it will say not available. As that is the response that will be output if it does not match as far as the preferred time, date and time for the appointment with any of the slots that are available for that day. And for this path, the first thing that needs to happen is I actually spoke too soon. We need to create another OpenAI step. And this is going to generate if the non-available slot has alternate time availabilities that day. If so, it will respond and the output will be those 3 availabilities. And if not, it'll just say none available that day. Please select a different date. And that'll all be in the response that the voice assistant would receive after triggering this specific function. So just fill in the tokens, 250. D for the message, it's going to be system. We're going to input this message. And again, the input is going to be appointment slot results. This will be the available slot. So this will be from step 21. The results there. And this will be the time requested by the patient. And then for the example, it'll be the slots from the output from the OpenAI step after it's been formatted. And then the requested date for the appointment. And then since it's not available, if there's available slots that day, alternate, it'll pull 3 available slots as the output to respond back to the voice assistant. And if not, the results will just send and say none available. And that will give that response to select a different preferred date and time for the patient to book an appointment. We'll go ahead and press save. Now that step's good to go. And now we need to input one more final router to determine the path based off of this result, which would be none available or those 3 alternate available slots for that day. So let's start by, it'll be the response here. And this will be the response for if the results are available and there are alternate, or not necessarily available, but if there are alternate availabilities, and that will be the result from this step. And for this filter, you want the response to be that the response from this step does not include none available. So alt slots, condition 26 is not equal to none available. Press OK. And this one, we want it to go down this path if it is equal to none available. So we'll go results here. Save this. Perfect. And then a response webhook here with this response. All right, and the response is the result. Again, tool ID is necessary for each response to know what it's responding to as far as the message being sent back to the voice assistant. And we will say no appointment times available this day. Please collect another date and time to schedule an appointment. So that's if no appointment availability slot, alternate appointment slots are available. They'll send that message for the voice assistant to notify the patient to collect another preferred date and time. But if it is available as far as alternate slots, it'll collect 3, and that'll be the response. And the voice assistant will propose those 3 alternate availabilities all through the response that it would receive from this scenario. Oh, so this path, setup filter, tool call, perfect. So type starts with tool, and we'll go book appointment, path. Perfect. So now if it equals tool call, or let's say starts with tool call, it will go down this path, and that's for booking appointments. So let's go ahead and give this whole voice assistant a test.
Hello, Lenny. Thanks for calling Shiny Teeth Dental. How can I help you today?
Yeah, I need to schedule a dentist appointment. I have a toothache.
I'm sorry to hear about your toothache. Let's get that taken care of. Could you please tell me your preferred date and time for the appointment? Our office hours are Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Yeah, let's do September 1st at 1 o'clock.
Let me confirm the details for your appointment. Date September 1st. Time 1 p.m. Reason toothache. I'll go ahead and try to book this appointment for you. Please hold on for a moment. Give me a moment. It looks like we don't have any available appointments on September 1st at 1 p.m. Could you please provide another date and time that works for you?
Sure. What about next week, Tuesday at 1 o'clock?
No worries, Lenny. Give me a moment. Your appointment has been successfully scheduled for Tuesday, September 26th at 1 p.m. for your toothache. Is there anything else I can assist you with today?
No, that's it. Perfect. Thanks. And lastly, let's make sure it updates the call dashboard. It goes down that flow as it should. Perfect. There we go. Let's confirm that that got booked in cal.com. And the call reason, toothache. So everything was there. September 26th at 1 o'clock, exactly as I wanted. In the call dashboard. So we need to just verify that the call dashboard was updated appropriately, and it was. So everything worked out as it should, and this voice assistant is operating perfectly. It does everything we want it to do, and this thing is good to go. Well, that's it for this tutorial. And if you want templates for everything we created in this video and in our previous video, make sure to go to our Skool community. It's a free community, and the link is in the description where you can find these templates in our resource hub. But other than that, if you found this video valuable, please subscribe, hit that like button and notification bell. It really helps us grow as we're on our journey to 1,000 subscribers. Other than that, we appreciate you for watching. We'll catch you next time. Peace.